ABO blood groups. Karl Landsteiner, 900, recognized 4 types of blood groups in human beings, commonly known as ABO blood groups. These blood groups are based on the presence and absence of antigens. 2 types of antigens, capital A and capital B, and 2 types of antibodies, small a and small b, are found in human blood. The 4 blood groups are: 1. Blood group A, having antigen, capital A, and antibody, small b. 2. Blood group B, having antigen, capital B, and antibody, small a. 3. Blood group AB, having both antigens, capital A and capital B, but no antibodies. 4. Blood group O, having no antigen, but both the antibodies, small a and small b. What is an antigen? Antigen: glycoproteins on the surface of RBCs. Antibody is gamma globulin proteins in the blood plasma. Rh factor. In addition to capital A and capital B antigen, most human RBCs possess Rh factor. Human blood can be categorized into 2 groups, Rh positive and Rh negative. Rh stands for rhesus, a common monkey in which the factor was first discovered. When the blood of Rh positive person is given to Rh negative person, antibodies develop in the blood of Rh negative recipient. In second transfusion of Rh positive blood to such a person, clumping of donor's blood cells occurs because Rh antibodies already developed in the recipient's blood react with Rh antigen. Heart. Heart, the pumping machine. Heart is a muscular pumping organ. It is situated almost in the middle of the chest between the lungs. Its lower conical portion is tilted to the left. It is enclosed in a bony cage formed of chest wall, ribs, backbone, and breastbone. The heart in adult humans is about the size of a closed fist, 12 cm in length and 9 cm in width, and weighs about 300 grams. It is protected by a double-walled membranous covering called pericardium. It contains lubricating pericardial fluid which reduces friction during heartbeat and protects it from mechanical injuries. Chambers of the heart. The heart consists of 4 chambers, 2 upper atria, its singular is atrium, and 2 lower ventricles. The atria, also called auricles, have thinner walls because their major function is to receive blood from the body and pump it into the very next ventricles. The ventricles have thick muscular walls because they have to pump blood to long distances. The right ventricle pumps blood only up to the lungs for oxygenation, but the left ventricle pumps it up to the farthest points in the body, such as up to the toes in the feet or up to the brain against gravity, and so its walls are thicker. Blood vessels entering the heart. The right atrium receives two large vessels, anterior vena cava and posterior vena cava. Anterior vena cava, also called superior vena cava, brings deoxygenated blood from the anterior or upper part of the body, including head, chest, and arms. Posterior or inferior vena cava brings blood from the posterior or the lower region of the body, including abdomen and legs. The left atrium receives 4 pulmonary veins, 2 from each lung. The pulmonary veins bring oxygenated blood. Valves in human heart. The human heart has 2 types of valves: cuspid valves and semilunar valves. Cuspid valves. Each atrium opens into the ventricle of its side by an atrioventricular aperture, which is guarded by a cuspid valve. A bicuspid valve guards the left atrioventricular aperture and allows blood to flow from left atrium to left ventricle. It is formed of 2 flaps or cusps and is hence bicuspid. The bicuspid valve is also called mitral valve. A tricuspid valve guards the right atrioventricular aperture and allows blood from right atrium to right ventricle. It consists of 3 flaps. Semilunar valves. These are half-moon-shaped flaps. When closed, they get filled with blood and prevent its backflow into the ventricles. One set of 3 pulmonary semilunar valves guards the opening of right ventricle into the pulmonary aorta. A set of aortic semilunar valves guards the point of origin of aorta from the left ventricle. Working of heart. In mammalian heart, oxygenated and deoxygenated blood remain completely separate. The deoxygenated blood from the entire body is returned to the right atrium by a superior or anterior vena cava and an inferior or posterior vena cava. The oxygenated blood from lungs is brought to the left atrium by 4 pulmonary veins. The 2 auricles contract and push blood into respective ventricles through right and left atrioventricular apertures. The backward flow of blood from auricles is prevented into the inferior vena cava by the eustachian valve and into the coronary sinus by the trapezius valve present on the respective apertures. Next, the 2 ventricles contract simultaneously. From right ventricle, blood is pumped into pulmonary trunk and from the left ventricle into the aorta. Presence of cuspid valves on the atrioventricular aperture prevents the backflow of blood into auricles. The pulmonary trunk is divided into 2 pulmonary arteries. These carry deoxygenated blood from right ventricle to the lungs. The semilunar valves present at the base of pulmonary trunk prevent return of blood into ventricles. The aorta is the main distributing vessel. It branches into vessels and distributes blood to all parts of the body except the lungs. What is cardiac cycle? Cardiac cycle denotes the sequence of atrial and ventricular events which occur once during each complete heartbeat. It is completed in about 0.8 seconds and can be divided into following three phases. Phase 1. The atrial systole. It is simultaneous contraction of both the auricles. It lasts for about 0.1 to 0.15 seconds and pumps blood into the ventricles. Phase 2. The ventricular systole. It is simultaneous contraction of both the ventricles. It lasts for about 0.3 seconds and pumps blood into the arteries. Phase 3. The joint diastole. It is relaxation of both the ventricles. It is called general pause and is of about 0.4 seconds. During general pause, blood from vena cava is poured into the auricles. What is pulse rate? The rhythmic contraction of heart is also felt in the arteries in the form of pulsations or as regular jerks called pulse. Each ventricular systole starts a new pulse. The pulse rate is same as the heart rate, that is 68 to 72 times per minute. Double circulation. The circulation of blood in heart takes place twice, namely by pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation. The deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle is pumped to lungs through pulmonary arteries. Inside the lungs, blood is oxygenated. The oxygenated blood from lungs is returned to heart into the left auricle by pulmonary veins. Systemic circulation. In systemic circulation, the oxygenated blood from left ventricle goes to all the body parts through aorta and is returned to heart to its right auricle. As the blood moves twice through the heart, it is called double circulation. Arterial and venous systems. The system of vessels which transports blood from heart to various organs is called arterial system, and the vessels therein as arteries. The system of vessels associated with collection of blood from various organs and transporting it to the heart is called venous system. It is formed of veins. The vein that starts with capillaries and terminates into capillaries is called a portal vein. Portal circulation. The veins that collect blood from different parts of alimentary canal, spleen, and pancreas do not open directly into the inferior vena cava. Instead, they join to form hepatic portal vein. It carries blood with digested food to liver, where it ramifies into capillaries. These capillaries then rejoin to form a pair of hepatic veins. The hepatic veins open in the upper part of inferior vena cava and finally into right ventricle. In doing so, the digested food collected by blood from intestine is received by hepatic cells for storage and metabolism.
Regulation of cardiac activity. Normal activities of the heart are regulated by specialized muscles, that is auto-regulated. Hence the heart is called myogenic. The cardiovascular center lies in the medulla oblongata of the brain. sino-auricular node receives sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves, which secretes adrenaline and acetylcholine, respectively. Adrenaline stimulates and increases heartbeat, whereas acetylcholine decreases the heart rate. During inspiration, heart rate increases, and during expiration, it falls. This phenomenon is known as sinus arrhythmias.